So I'll go ahead and get started. My name's Liz Bergall, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for joining from wherever you are. We really appreciate having you all here. As I said, my name's Liz Bergall, and I'm here with my colleague Colton Naval. And Colton, if you can jump to the next slide. These are our faces. It's nice and early here, so we won't be doing video chat and also saving your bandwidth. But so you can put a face to a name of who will be presenting to you today. Colton and I will be discussing how GFW data and tools can help continue your forest monitoring activities while adhering to COVID-19 restrictions. So one of the main benefits of using GFW is that it allows you to monitor safely from your office at a distance from others. And for those of you that are able to get into the field but have more restrictions on the amount of time you're allowed to spend, we'll talk a little bit about some of our field monitoring tools as well. But really today we'll be focusing on the GFW platform and the data available on GFW and how it can be used for remote work, including highlighting some new functionality on the website. As I briefly said, we'll be then reviewing some of our other tools really briefly, just mentioning our mobile application, Forest Watcher, and Map Builder, our custom web map tool. So with that, just one logistical thing, all questions can be sent through the question box. We've removed the chat functionality, so there's no confusion as to where to send your questions, and feel free to send them throughout. At the end of the presentation, we'll be reviewing those, and we've left ample time for question and answer. And you'll have the ability to upvote each other's answers. So if there's a question that you see that you really want to be sure is answered, feel free to vote for it rather than rewriting the same thing. That will help us get to as many questions as possible. So with that, I'll pass it over to Colton.
So many of you joining us today are probably already familiar with Global Forest Watch. But for those of you who are new, we wanted to provide a little bit of background. Global Forest Watch was launched in 2014 and is a free, easy to use online platform with forest monitoring data sourced from satellite imagery and combined with contextual data sets for the whole world. We intend for this data and the tools to inform and empower our audiences to use this information to create better outcomes for forests, such as enacting policies for sustainable forest management, bringing accountability to global commitments, improving supply chains, and empowering forest defenders. Now, in terms of the GFW platform, let's start exploring how it can be applied while working remotely. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the sidebar on the left-hand side of the map, which you can click to access our different data sets and other information. Here you can see the 5 different categories we use to categorize our data: forest change, land cover, land use, climate, and biodiversity. And as you can see, by clicking into each category, you'll be able to see the different data sets we offer and see which ones are most relevant to you. Please note that we also offer some country-specific data sets, which can be accessed at the top of each category window here, right at the top, country-specific data. So for example, if I click on Indonesia, it'll generate all of the data sets relevant to that country at the top of the window. So in this case, under land cover, Indonesia peatlands, Indonesia primary forest. So let's begin by examining the global tree cover loss data set and weekly deforestation alerts, both of which are provided to us by the University of Maryland Global Land Analysis and Discovery Lab. So as you can see here in this data window, we currently have tree cover loss data sets for the years 2001 through 2018, with 2019 data expected very soon. This data set is measured at a 30 by 30 meter resolution and defines tree cover as all vegetation greater than 5 meters in height. Loss specifically indicates the removal or mortality of tree cover of at least 50% of the pixel. And for those not technically oriented, pixels are these small colored squares that make up part of a larger image. So in this case, one pixel, one of these little pink pixels, is equal to one 30 by 30 meter grid cell. One of the main purposes of this tree cover loss data set is to observe tree cover loss trends over time. And with many of us now working remotely, this data set is ideal for conducting desk-based research to understand an area's tree cover loss patterns or to identify areas that have become deforestation hotspots. For example, let's take a look at a time series of tree cover loss in Cambodia. So here I'm just navigating over to this time series bar, and I can hit the play button and it'll generate this time series here. Now, here we can see that between 2001 and 2018, tree cover loss accelerated across the country with around 2.17 megahectares of loss in that time period and 109 kilohectares specifically in 2018. So say you're writing a policy brief or report. This data set is useful for providing some helpful figures in terms of the amount of loss per year. Or maybe you're a journalist covering environmental issues. You can easily record and use this data and time series as a visualization or to provide supporting information in your article. If you prefer graphical information rather than a map interface, you can also review this data and many other data sets on our dashboards. To access the dashboards, simply click on the Global Forest Watch icon on that left-hand sidebar. And this will direct you to our More menu, where you can access additional features and tools, including the dashboard right here. And this is how the dashboards look once you click into them. You can select the country here, and then you can even select the administrative area here to get more detailed information about a specific subnational area within a country. I definitely encourage all of you to explore this in more detail. Ultimately, the tree cover loss data set provides a high-level look at the yearly rate of tree cover loss, while also illustrating potential global deforestation hotspots. As I briefly mentioned, the 2019 data is forthcoming. So now, shifting away from the annual data, we're going to dive into a more localized and specific application of GFW during remote work, which would be the use of the GLAD deforestation alerts. So the GLAD deforestation alerts are an excellent way to keep your eye on current changes happening in your areas of interest. GLAD alerts identify areas of likely tree cover loss in near real time through analysis of Landsat 7 and Landsat 8 satellite imagery. These alerts are updated weekly, and we refer to them on the platform under the forest change category as deforestation alerts, because their purpose is to identify areas of recent potential deforestation. Bear in mind that we are not saying this is deforestation, but rather detecting where deforestation might be occurring. In addition to GLAD, we also host the VEERS active fires dataset provided by NASA. This dataset is updated daily and indicates potential global fire locations at a 375 by 375 meter resolution. And if at any point you have more questions about these datasets or any of the other datasets available on the platform, you can always click the I button next to these datasets for additional information. So here we can see that I have GLAD and VEERS toggled on right now. And these two alerts are a valuable tool to remotely monitor your areas of interest and stay up to date with potential forest threats while your fieldwork is paused, delayed, or postponed. You can share the information generated by the GLAD alerts with your monitoring teams or with local officials or federal authorities in order to prompt investigation and verification. For journalists, GLAD alerts can help you identify emerging areas of interest to document and investigate, keeping your coverage of forest threats live while remote. This data for the GLAD alerts is available from 2015 up until the most recent to the present. But you can easily spot more recent alerts highlighted in yellow, while the confirmed alerts are in pink. So here in this example, we can see that the most recent alerts are these yellow pixels here, and the pink alerts represent confirmed alerts. Recent alerts indicate areas of probable loss at first detection by the two satellites, but they only turn pink when the alert is confirmed. An alert is considered confirmed once 2 out of 4 consecutive observations from the Landsat 7 and 8 satellites are labeled as tree cover loss. And these consecutive observations occur over a period of 8 days. So it can take up to about a month for an alert to be confirmed. We can also compare where these GLAD alerts are located by toggling on different data sets. So for example, if I toggle on this tree cover loss by dominant driver data set, I can see some overlap between where the GLAD alerts are located and then where different areas of driver-related tree cover loss are apparent. So here we see some GLAD alerts overlapping with areas that are labeled for commodity-driven deforestation or shifting agriculture. So in short, GLAD and VEERS alerts provide a useful tool to continue active monitoring of your areas of interest and can be contextualized with other data sets on the platform as well. So perhaps one of the most important complementary tools for both GLAD, VEERS, and tree cover loss alerts are the satellite imagery options. We have three main sources of satellite imagery: Landsat, Planet, and Sentinel. These are found by clicking Map Settings right on the lower right corner of the map. Let's see here, you can toggle the different data sets here, or the different base maps, excuse me. These base maps provide high resolution imagery that can help you verify GLAD alerts without needing to investigate in person. The Landsat maps offer annual imagery from 2013 to 2017, while Planet offers monthly updates from 2016 through the present. You can also toggle Planet imagery to switch between monthly and quarterly views. So how might you use GLAD alerts with the different base maps for monitoring? Well, let's take, for example, this area in Brazil. Let's say you're actively monitoring this area for illegal forest activities. The GLAD alerts, which I've turned down here with the opacity bar, which is helpful for hiding or showing, revealing what's in a base map. But the GLAD alerts here indicate an area of probable loss. And toggling on having this Planet base map imagery shows us a completed clearing. Toggle it to April. So we can see here that the alerts and the shape match over the shape of this clearing here. What might this be? Well, based on the imagery, the clearing appears to be for large-scale agricultural production, which in this case is most likely soy, given the pattern of the imagery and the context of this area. What is more, we can toggle a time series with the alerts to see when this clearing took place. So if you'll notice over here, I've selected my time frame for the GLAD alerts to be between February 1st and the most recent detected alerts of May 14th. So we can see that between a relatively short period, these alerts begin to populate in this area. And if I just go back to the February imagery from 2020, toggle the opacity down to see it's completely undisturbed. I can see that by March, this clearing has begun to happen. And then by April, we have a completed clearing, which again matches over this time series. In addition, if I wanted to have some additional information about this area, I could toggle different data sets again, as I mentioned previously. And this is one of my favorite ones here, is this tree cover loss by dominant driver. So I can see that if I think that this is for soy, this could somewhat be confirmed by the fact that it overlaps with the layer that's dedicated towards commodity-driven deforestation. Toggling between the different GLAD alert time series and the different base map timestamps, along with additional data sets, allows us to see how this area has changed in near real time, and also provides us with the visual imagery to potentially explore what the alerts indicate. While it's not perfect, it does provide us with a partial solution to support forest monitoring efforts while working remotely. We can also use the recent satellite imagery tool to take initial steps to investigate the alerts. The recent satellite imagery can be accessed right next to the map settings in the lower right-hand corner. So as you can see here, I have a bunch of Sentinel-based recent imagery for this particular area. And based on the cloud cover, you may need to adjust your time horizon and search around for different images in order to find a clear image to suit your purposes with the recent imagery. If you're interested in exploring these features more or learning more about interpreting satellite imagery or using these features on the platform, we have some excellent resources, including Interpreting Satellite Imagery blog and a webinar that introduces us to the basic concepts of satellite monitoring. Both of those resources will be linked in a PDF that will be made available at the end of this presentation. So now let's say that you have a specific area of interest you would like to consistently monitor on GFW. You can draw or upload a shape and store it for free on your MyGFW account. Once saved, you can then receive email alerts, continue to easily revisit your areas on GFW, or utilize our newest feature, custom dashboard analyses. More on these in a moment. I will note quickly that you can also subscribe to some of the areas in a contextual data set, like a protected area or concession. And all you need to do is click on that particular data set that you're interested in. And then once the layer loads, you can click on the specific data layer, click Analyze. And once the analysis loads, there will be a prompt that allows you to save this into your areas once you've created a MyGFW account. Right here, save in MyGFW. So to draw or upload a shape, simply click the Analysis tab in this Legend and Analysis box right here. Click Draw or Upload Shape. And then from here, you have two options. You can click Start Drawing to draw a shape directly on the platform, or you can drag and drop your own shape file zip folders into this box here, and it will automatically load your shape and begin running an analysis. In terms of drawing a shape, I'll click Start Drawing. And then I'll just begin making some dots on the map. And it's important to note that in order for the shape to close, you need to click the first dot that you created to close the shape. So I've created my shape and the analysis is now running automatically. So this analysis feature is extremely helpful for accessing data specific to your areas of interest. The more data layers I add, the more analysis, the more analytical widgets will appear in the analysis. So for example, let me toggle on tree cover gain, tree cover loss. And another of my favorite data sets is the carbon dioxide emissions from tree cover loss. So as you can see, as I've toggled these data sets and they've begun to appear on the map, the analysis goes ahead to include them in this bar as well. As I mentioned before, in order to store your shape to receive email alerts about the area or easily return to your custom areas of interest, you'll need to create a MyGFW account. Creating a MyGFW account is necessary to view, edit, or delete your areas of interest and to receive email alerts of new clearings, fires, or data in your area. While you can upload and draw shapes without an account, to save this information, you will need an account. If you are not logged in and you go to save a shape or area of interest, the platform will automatically prompt you to create an account at the bottom of the analysis window. So for example, I'm logged in right now, but if I log out, and I go to click Save in MyGFW, I'm prompted to either log into my account or to sign up for a new account. I'll also note that you can log in with your Twitter, Facebook, or Google accounts as well, or you can just create a completely new account with whatever email address you wish. So once logged in, and you go to save this area, you'll be prompted with this box right here to save this area, and then you can go ahead and name this area. You can assign tags to it as well to search for different to help you organize and search across different areas. I can set up an email address. It doesn't necessarily have to be the email address you use to create the account, but you can put in one email address here, and it'll sign this email up to receive alerts on when fires are detected and when a forest change is detected. And then you can also select up to 6 languages: English, Chinese, French, Bahasa Indonesian, Portuguese, and Spanish. So now my area has been saved and confirmed, and it'll now appear in my areas of interest bar when I click the My GFW icon here at the bottom. Another thing to note is that you can go back into your areas, you can edit them by clicking this little pencil here. And this is where you can choose to delete an area, make any changes. You can also access your areas of interest by clicking the Global Forest Watch icon and then going to the My GFW section here, and you'll get a different view. And here it'll allow you to share these as well and edit. So with the shapes and custom areas, this brings us to one of GFW's newest innovative features, our custom dashboards. GFW's custom dashboards provide access to in-depth analytics on forest change trends within a specified area. And they're similar to the analytics that have been available for countries and subnational areas on GFW for several years. So let's look at a Democratic Republic of Congo example. I have my area here that I've created. And now once the analysis has been run, I can go down here and click Dashboard under the analysis window. And I can see that my dashboard is now loading with data specific to that area. And it generates this custom dashboard, and it presents analytics only based on these specified boundaries. This is a helpful tool for sharing easy to understand forest change information about a user-created site, or for generating graphics and visualizations that can be included in an article or report. Most of the data sets are also downloadable in the widgets by clicking the downward arrow icon here. As you can see, the data begins to download here in the zip folder. I'll also take a moment to note that there is a difference between these custom dashboards and our global dashboards that I had mentioned earlier. Now, the global dashboards have predefined areas for analysis at the national and administrative levels. And I can toggle between my custom dashboards and my global dashboards at the top here. This prompts me to go back to the global dashboard, and this prompts me to go back to my custom areas dashboard. Note that if you're not logged in, or if you don't have any areas of interest saved, this will not appear. This Go to Areas dashboard will not appear at the top. So in summary, Global Forest Watch offers a variety of tools to keep your forest monitoring work active while following COVID-19 lockdown policies. Toggling the many different features, data layers, and tools of GFW is an innovative approach to monitoring your areas of interest without needing to go to the field. There is no limit to the possible uses of this platform. So if you're using it in other ways, please comment on our Google group. The link is here. Or share with us at gfw@wri.org. We're always interested in learning more about how our users are using the platform. And so we'd love to hear your feedback and thoughts. We'll also have a virtual discussion at the end to share your ideas. So now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Liz, who's going to briefly highlight 2 of our other freely available tools that may make your work and lives easier at this time.
Great. So thank you, Colton. That was a wonderful overview of GFW and the main platform. If you can just go ahead and jump to the next slide. I'm going to briefly speak to Forest Watcher, our mobile application. So some of you are probably familiar with Forest Watcher, but if you're not, Forest Watcher is our free mobile application for field monitoring. It provides access to our GLAD, those weekly deforestation alerts, and our VEERS fire alerts. for use offline in the field. So it makes easier monitoring for accessing our alerts, monitoring your areas of interest, navigating, tracking your route, and collecting data in the field. So for those of you, as I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, is for those of you that are still able to go to the field, I know some of our partners, depending on the country, depending on the region, you're able to go to the field but have greater time and resource constraints. Maybe you're only allowed to go for a more limited time and you have to be more deliberate and intentional about where you're going. Forest Watcher would allow you to navigate directly to the source of deforestation or fires and investigate. So in the app, you can track a route and find your way back there again in the future if needed. You can go ahead and jump to the next slide. Thanks. So it's a free app. It's available for both Android and Apple devices, and you can access it simply by searching for Forest Watcher through the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. I've also provided the links in this slide, so when we send out the PDF after this event, you'll be able to access through this links. And so from there, I also want to highlight that the app is available currently in 5 languages, Spanish, French, Indonesian, English, and Portuguese. But we are exploring other languages as well. And in July, we have a really exciting new app update coming, and we'll have a complete webinar training on Forest Watcher and this latest app release. So just some highlights that are coming. In the new version, you'll be able to access all data or more data available on Global Forest Watch, as well as upload custom contextual layers directly onto your mobile device. So we've really improved and made that feature a lot easier to use. And you'll be able to share the app and associated alerts completely offline to another device. So for those of you that are disconnected from internet for long periods of time, you'll be able to share that data with a colleague in the field. So if you're interested in learning more, you can email us. We'll have our email address posted in these slides as well, or email me directly at forestwatcher@wri.org. I'll then highlight Map Builder. So this is a tool that we built as an off-the-shelf map-based monitoring tool. It allows anyone to combine their own data with data on GFW for visualization and analysis. So with Map Builder, you can visualize and overlay spatial data and see information on map features at a glance and perform on-the-fly analyses. The tool automatically incorporates the data sets like the GLAD and fire alerts and is integrated with MyGFW, so users can subscribe to areas of interest and receive email alerts and easily return to these areas within their map. To use Map Builder, you will need an ArcGIS Online account. Users can sign up for a free account with ArcGIS Online and build a map with Map Builder. Or if you have a paid organizational account, maps made using Map Builder can be shared by themselves or embedded into your own website. So here's an example of an existing Map Builder platform built by our partner at the Amazon Conservation Team. And later this summer, we will also have a full demo and webinar focused on the Map Builder platform. So we have some more opportunities for learning coming later this summer. So we're now going to switch gears. That was our overview of everything you need to know GFW for monitoring from your office. And now we'd really like to leave the remaining time to hear from you all. So before we dive into question and answer, which we'll plan to do through the Zoom chat box. There's now almost 100 of you on here. So for efficiency's sake, we'll just plan to do everything through the Q&A box. And I'd like to highlight that you'll actually have the option to upvote each other's questions. So rather than rewriting the same question to make sure it gets seen, you can instead give that question a thumbs up saying, we'd really like for you to answer this. That would help us make sure that we're getting to all of your most burning questions. Until we do that, we would like to switch to another browser window. So if you're in full screen, in the top right corner, you can exit full screen by clicking the button in the Zoom window. and or using your escape button on your keyboard and opening a browser window. You can also do this on your phone. Slido is really actually easy to use on a mobile device as well. All you'll do is you'll go to slido.com and you can just type SLIDO into your search bar. And then you'll use this code GFW 2020, where you'll join just a few poll questions just to collect as many answers as we can to a few of our questions. Because it's hard to facilitate a discussion virtually, we'd love to do it in this form. So we'll leave this slide up here for another moment, let you all find your way there. And then Colton will go ahead and share the Slido screen as well. So Colton has made the first poll live. It should say, how have you been using GFW tools remotely? For those of you that have already been using GFW tools, we would love to know how your work has continued during this time. If there's anything specifically, any features that have been useful or data sets, we'd love to hear from you. We also love positive feedback. Thanks. Any specifics you have would be great. We love learning more about how our partners and colleagues are using our tools and how we can continue to improve them. That's awesome. Yeah, and if you have more detailed stories than can fit in these little chat boxes, feel free to email us as well. The reason we also wanted to do this, I'll just mention, is so that all of you on the call who aren't already using GFW tools, you can see that there are people using them and that you can also use them in these ways. Or hopefully, as Colton highlighted in this session, there's a lot of opportunity to use them from your office space. And I would like to highlight as well, just answering some of these as they come through. If you feel like you don't already have the resources to use our tools, we do have our annual small grants fund where people can, organizations can apply for a small grant. Unfortunately, we just recently completed an application cycle, but we also are continuously offering trainings. We're trying to build out a more regular webinar series. So we'll actually be asking you about that as well. We'd love your feedback as to what you need to learn more about to feel confident using our tools. Our goal is that they'll be easy to use. Yeah, Pro is not required. So some of you might be familiar with Global Forest Watch Pro. That is a closed system that's built for private sector companies that have thousands of locations to monitor at a given time. GFW, the main platform available to everyone, allows you to save and monitor an area. Yeah, and so we'll try and keep most of the Q&A to the Zoom chat. I will say some areas, of course, with cloud cover can be disrupted in monitoring via satellite. So I know that can be challenging, but yeah, we're limited by satellite abilities. That being said, satellites do cover a wide range and cloud cover does pass. And so it's worth investigating on the site if there's good coverage for your area. Great, so we'll go ahead and jump to the next one, conscious of time. Want to leave plenty of time for Q&A as well. So you should now see a new poll appear on your Slido screen on your device or wherever you're using it. And as you're answering, my colleague reminded me in our chat that we are working on building out up-to-date training materials this summer. And we will have a more comprehensive help center. So that's something to look forward to. And reminder for those who were not here at the very beginning of the call, we will be sharing this recording. So you will be able to share this with colleagues and conduct trainings on your own with the confidence from everything that you learned today. We hope that you'll be able to teach others about this information. Awesome. Give you all another moment to type your answers in. Love that. Awesome. And hopefully for those of you that weren't sure how you would use this information, hopefully this is providing some inspiration of how you could use our data and our tools. And if you're not already, definitely plan to sign up for our newsletter. We'll continue to share information there or on our social media pages, Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, about upcoming webinars and trainings as we continue to conduct them through the next coming months. Great. And if you're not sure, that's okay. We would love to brainstorm with you and engage with you. So feel free to email us. Colton, let's go ahead and jump to the next one. If you didn't get a chance to answer, no worries. Email us, reach out. We love to hear from you. In this last one, we'd love to hear how we can continue to offer trainings. And so I keep mentioning we will be doing webinars this summer or in the next few months. For those who are not in summer, in the next few months, we'll be offering more webinars. So what would be helpful to offer trainings on? Any and all ideas welcome if there's certain data or other tools. Yeah, those are some great ones. I don't know who said hands-on training, but I would love to come to everyone's office and do trainings, but yeah, these are great. Yep, and we will be having a forest watcher focused training expected in July. Yeah. Colton's highlighting some of these to me, I see. Yeah, I think I can briefly say the importance of ground truthing alerts. The short answer, the short answer is that it's really important to ground truth alerts because they're just detecting change in the forest and it's not necessarily saying what the cause is. That's why Colton's example with the satellite imagery can be a really useful tool while we can't get out into the field. Yeah, these are awesome. Thanks, everyone. And again, if you've run out of time, you're typing a really long answer, I'm going to switch us back over to the Q&A. But this last poll will continue to remain open, so feel free to send your ideas there. You'll still have access to that. We won't close it right now. Colton, if you just want to switch your view back over to the last slide in the PowerPoint so people know how to contact us. Thank you. So again, for anything that we haven't gotten to yet today, or you want to follow up and have a more specific conversation to your situation, feel free to email us. We are actively responding to emails. You're not emailing a robot when you send an email to us. We are the ones actually reading and responding to these. And we love hearing from you. So genuinely, please feel free to email. That being said, I'd love to jump into our Q&A. So if you're back with us on Zoom, you should have your Q&A box, and you should be able to upvote each other's questions. And I see that some of you have been doing that. Hi, Tony, your question's at the top. I will answer it in a second. Yeah, cool. That's when Alice highlighted to me too. So for those of you that are not following along in the Q&A, I'll just read Tony's question out loud. These tools are extremely useful for our work in tropical Asia. We're so glad you're using them. Tony asked, is it possible to develop some online training materials that we can use to teach the Cambodian government and counterparts how to use GFW tools? Or is it better to and still possible for us to deliver some online trainings? Yeah, I mean, we are happy to continue doing webinars, and we do have some colleagues in the Southeast Asia region. So for time zone differences, we can also conquer that with more of a local training option. But we're happy to continue conducting webinars. And as I mentioned, we will have a more robust help center in the next few months. We're building out extensive resources and PDFs, and making sure that we get more recordings online to train users. So one thing that would be really helpful for us, and Tony, feel free to email me, it would be to understand which features specifically would be useful to highlight for that audience. And we have a sense from working with different government organizations around the world, but in your context, I appreciate that everything needs to be sort of custom for everyone's individual context. And so I'd be happy to think through that with you and with others. So thanks everyone for voting that up. Next question, is it possible to extract data on new clearings at selected polygons, and in order to import the data on our own forest maps with logging permits? That's a great question. So there's actually a tool, so two things. Map Builder, which will have a more detailed Map Builder webinar later this summer. But if you email us, we can get you in contact with the Map Builder product manager, and she can answer specific questions. But Map Builder is a great resource for customizing your own interface with your polygons and attaching your data to those areas. So you would be able to upload a document, for example. Another option with logging specifically, there's a tool called the Open Timber portal at World Resources Institute. It's not a GFW platform, but it is a tool within our forest program, and it's used specifically for monitoring illegal logging. So that could be a resource that answers your question. And again, that's the Open Timber portal. Next question, can uploaded shapefiles contain multiple polygons, and can the analysis be performed in a way that analyzes each polygon of the shapefile? That's a great question. At this point, custom polygon upload is a very complex feature to build on the back end for our developers. And so at this point, you're not able to upload multiple shapefiles on in one file on the GFW platform. However, you can have as many shapefiles as you want as individual custom areas. You would have to view them one by one. The alternative is, depending on your use case, private sector organizations or nonprofit organizations with specific commodity supply chain focus can use our Global Forest Watch Pro platform. And if you email us, we can connect you with the right person. That's really intended to be used to monitor thousands of locations rather than a handful. And so if you only have a handful, we recommend using GFW. That's a great question. So is the tree cover change results, are they compared to the FAO Forest Resource Assessment? So the FAO, as many of you know, is a really important forest monitoring, forest assessment, and it uses a different methodology. And so for us, we see them as complementary resources, though they have different results. And so it's worth assessing both tools. At this time, we don't have a direct comparison, though we are working on some internal papers to sort of address that question. We know people are interested in it. And if you have more questions about that, some of my colleagues would be better suited to address that. Is it possible to upload the shapefile of our interested area on the GFW platform to capture change of the specific area and download the map of this interested area? Yeah, that's a great question. So Colton did not highlight this, I don't believe. If you want, Colton, I don't know if you feel comfortable resharing your map screen, it could be worth highlighting the share and download functionality. And if you want to unmute yourself and talk through what you're doing, I think that'd be the best way to answer that. And while you're getting your screen loaded, I can also just say, I'll answer another question and then we'll circle back to this one. Jorge, thanks for joining. New updates for the Forest Watcher mobile app should be available in July. The exact date is to be determined. We're working really hard. It was a really big app update, so it's taken a lot of work, but we're really, really excited about it. So stay tuned. If you're on our email list, you're following us on social media, that information will be released soon. And I'll definitely keep you posted. Great, so Colton's got his screen ready. Are you unmuted? You can show us about sharing and downloading.
Yes, and so the question was about uploading a shapefile, having it populate on the map, and then being able to download that information.
Mm-hmm.
So the process will be similar to when you draw a shape. You'll go to that analysis bar here. You'll drag your shapefile here. It'll populate on the screen. Oh, my example went. I'm just going to draw a shape. So let's say that this was the shapefile you uploaded, and it populated it. The analysis ran. At the moment, you can share this. You can share this view. You can't necessarily download the map. However, we are going to be adding a print functionality in the coming months, so that you will be able, in essence, to like download it for offline use. However, for the purposes of this, you'd be able to share your analysis in this area. So let's say you save it. I gotta fill in all this. I don't need a tag. I'll put it in English. So your area is now saved. Now you can share it just by, you can embed it, or you can have a link, just copy and paste and then send. And in this area, even if they aren't logged in and don't have an account, so say for example, I went to an incognito window. I'll still be able to see the area that you uploaded with the analysis as well in the widgets. And if you wanted to download the data for your specific area, I mentioned this earlier, so far you can't download all of the widgets in one go with the custom feature. You have to download the data individually, and it's a bit easier to do in the dashboard. So this is saying my custom dashboard is almost ready. So here I can download the data, or I can share the specific widget as well. But in terms of downloading data, you're going to have to go into each individual widget when it comes to a specific custom area. So your uploaded shapefile would present a very similar, well, not necessarily the information, but the dashboard would look the same. And then you'd be able to go and download the data for each individual data set that you were interested in. And again, that data would be specific to your area of interest. And as I mentioned, again, you can also share this area, or you can share individual widgets. So if you only wanted to highlight a specific data set or widget, you could share that as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that was great, Colton.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for jumping in and doing that quickly. A word picture wouldn't have made it as clear. So that was helpful. If you can just go back to the presentation so we can just make sure everyone has our email address. Thank you for that and for doing that on the fly. So I'm going to try and get to the last two questions, but if we don't get to them, we usually try and send out answers afterwards. So yeah, please feel free to keep sending. And yes, I love this question. There was a request to do more webinars in other languages, and we fully agree. We wish we could do them in every language, but we are trying to at least get more languages in the languages that our team can. So French, English, Spanish, and Bahasa. If we can get Portuguese as well, you know, we're working hard to do that. It's challenging to coordinate across our very busy team, but we do appreciate that. It's really important. So thank you for raising that. And then, yeah, so Harry, hello, Harry. He asked about Resource Watch. That's another platform at World Resources Institute. Resource Watch is a much broader tool. We're really focused on the forest use case. If there are data sets on Resource Watch that would be useful to compare to forests, we would love to hear about that. That would be useful to us. But because we already provide hundreds of data sets on Global Forest Watch, we really want to be sure that we're providing the data sets that people will use. So we love that feedback. Please, if there's anything specific we don't have, reach out. Resource Watch does integrate most GFW data, if not all. But again, they have a lot of data on there. So it's a lot to review. It's a bit of a different use case. Okay, a couple more questions. I think I can get through them in the last minute. So currently, photos are not crowdsourced from GFW to share to our platform. A good alternative would be like using our map builder platform where you can customize it and share your own data there. That can be a good alternative, but if that's not quite answering your question, feel free to email us. We'd love to know how you're hoping to use that information. And yes, the UMD data set around tree cover loss is built around tropical forests originally. So some people see mixed results in other regions. It depends on your area, and I really recommend investigating in your area. I also know that many people outside the tropics use the fires data set, as that is global, and that can be a really useful resource as well. So, you know, if the annual tree cover loss or deforestation alerts aren't as useful for your area, there are plenty of other resources and data sets available. And I think, data. Yes, great last question to end on. I think I got to almost all of them. Apologies if I didn't, but can GLAD data be downloaded as a shapefile to use with GIS? So you are able to download GLAD data either from the UMD website itself or from our Global Forest Watch page. I know there was a recent bug with that functionality, but it either has been fixed recently or will be fixed soon, I hope. Feel free to email us and we can send you more information about that if you're interested in learning more. But yeah, thank you all so much for the engaging question and answer and for engaging in the Slido as well. We really appreciate hearing from you. And if you didn't have a question today or something comes up later today or tomorrow, please email us, please reach out. We would love to hear from you. And thank you all so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day or evening. Take care.